Good evening. The Poquoson School Board, February 15th, 2022 meeting is called to order. Madeline Haddock, if you don't mind leading us through the pledge and your inspirational reading, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of Liberty and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. So in honor of celebrating National Kindness Week this week for our whole school system, I chose a poem about kindness by Yvonne Ugarte. Kindness breaks down barriers with words, a smile, a touch. It links us all together in a way that says so much. It shows concern for neighbors, for communities and friends. To be there for each other is the message kindness sends. Reaching out in friendship, taking time to show you care, being the anchor in their stormy lives when you're drowning in despair. Kindness is essential. It's resilient and tough. A global glue to bind us all with gentleness and love. Thank you.
At this time, I want to thank Ms. Sheeler, who has served on the board for several years, for her support and for her time on the board. She did resign from her position. I'm going to hand the meeting over to Mr. Tillett to lead us through the elections that we need to do.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to open the floor for nominations for chairman of the school board for Poquoson.
Mr. Tillett, I'd like to nominate Christy Helsel for board chair.
Second.
We have a first and nomination and a second. Could we get a roll call?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Mr. Goodale.
Aye.
Mr. Freeman.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
I'm going to turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett. Okay, so I would like to open up for motion for vice chair, if anybody would like to.
I'd like to make a motion that we vote Jeremy Jordan in as vice chair.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Ms. McKay.
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Mr. Goodale.
Aye.
Mr. Freeman.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Much. Are there any additions and or modifications to the agenda, Ms. McKay?
We only have one addition to the recommendation for consent agenda for a last-minute personnel appointment. That's in your packet.
Thank you very much. So the next one is going to be recognitions for the Poquoson High School Senior of the Month. So Isabel, if you want to join me up here. I'm going to come right here. The February Student of the Month is a lovely young lady who is always polite, respectful, and kind to both staff members and peers. She excels academically and is always excited to learn something new. She has represented Poquoson High School at the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Conference and at Girls State. She is currently a member of the Key Club and serves as the SCA class president. During her junior year, she served as a member of the Virginia Department of Education, History, and Social Sciences SOL Review Board and was a Wayman Mary Leadership Award winner. This young lady has also been a drum major for the Poquoson Islander Marching Band for the last 2 years, as well as the captain of the Academic Challenge team that won the title of Regional Champs in 2021. If you did not already know her from classes or from her various clubs and activities, you could have seen her face behind the counter at Beans, where she was employed for the last 18 months. We know Mr. Tillett probably has a lot.
Yes, I have.
Additionally, this student has volunteered her time and talents at numerous community events and organizations. She plans to attend a four-year college in the fall, where she would like to study international relations and political science. Please join me in congratulating our February Student of the Month, Ms. Isabel Spielberger. All right, so we are going to move on to presentation and reports, with the first one being Superintendent Tillett with his update.
Madam Chair. Am I live? Here we go. All right. Well, I want to start off this evening by first thanking you as members of our school board. It's, whether you know it or not, it's National School Board Appreciation Month of February. And there's never a more appropriate time than in the last year and a half plus that we've had in this work to appreciate our school board and the hard work you do. I know you get calls and emails day in and day out on the side of a variety of issues. And what I have found, having worked with you now for this short period of time, is how committed to what's good for children you are, each of you. And I appreciate that as your superintendent, and I know our community appreciates it. So in honor of National School Board Appreciation Month, we want to thank you on behalf of the students and staff and families of Poquoson. And when we go into our work session tonight on budget, we'll have a few treats in there for you. So thank you. We also want to thank Ms. Dusty McKay, our new board clerk, because it is also National School Board Clerk Week. So, Dusty, we appreciate so much what you do. You jumped right in, hit the ground running, and you had very big shoes to follow, to fill with your predecessor. And our board would like to give you just a small token of our appreciation for all your hard work and for herding cats, right? So now we'll jump right into, as you're used to now, for the 18th, 17th month, we have been presenting the state of affairs of the pandemic and as it relates to Poquoson schools and our actions and work. And we do have still a high rate of transmission around the United States with the Omicron variant. But what is the great news and the takeaway tonight from this presentation is that we are seeing, just as quickly as we saw the spike, we're seeing the Omicron variant recede all around the country, the state, and in Poquoson. And we'll dig into that data a little bit tonight, but you'll see these graphs all show the same thing, a very steep decline in COVID cases around the state. As I said, we are still in the state of Virginia in red, but those numbers are dropping so radically. This slide was taken on the 7th last week, and we were at 407 cases in Poquoson per 100,000. Just to remind you, 2.5 weeks ago, that number was 2,007 cases per 100,000. So this is really good news, and our positivity rate had dropped to 25.3. That number since the 7th has continued to drop pretty radically, and these are symptoms from onset, and you'll see that peak also dropping pretty radically down through the 6th. And this specific to Poquoson, and I pulled this just this morning, and that 407 last week has dropped to 335 as of today, and 14.5% PCR rate as of today in the city of Poquoson. We haven't seen those numbers since November. So this is a really good sign as we, of course, daily monitor our cases. Now the question in everybody's mind is, what does this look like? Of course, this is just another chart. What does this look like for actual cases in our schools? And as you know, we populate this slide every day and have been since the pandemic began. Last year's numbers, we ended up with 64 cases in our school population, student staff. And of course, as of the 18th last month, we were at 344 cases. We're at 440 now, so we've only gone up 112 cases in a month. Where we were populating right after Christmas 30 or 40 cases in a day. So this is a really good trend. As you saw, we did early in the first of the year, we added to our outbreaks several cases. We've only added one new case since our last board one new outbreak since our last board meeting. This is the numbers these are the numbers that I share with you all weekly, and so you're used to seeing this chart. We were asked to look, since we changed our policy effective the 24th of January, what the cases look like in actual numbers daily in each of our buildings. And you'll see those numbers are minimal. The 15 cases, ironically, were all prior to your policy change. They were populated from the several days before. And then since we've been in single digits every day through yesterday, totaling 63 cases total for the last 3 weeks of COVID cases in our schools. Vaccination rates continue to go up slightly. This is for the state of Virginia, and the age group we're focused on from 5 to 17 is at 47.8%. And in Poquoson, we're a little behind that. So again, another selfish plug, if to consider vaccinations, that is still recommended as the primary protection to the virus. And our staff is, that number keeps climbing. That's old data, so that number's probably closer to 92% for our staff vaccination rate. We still continue all of our mitigation practices that we started with. We're spraying down everything. We've got MERV 13 filters. We're encouraging respiratory etiquette and hand washing and sanitizing. We are continuing to promote vaccination clinics. We had our last one, 38 individuals vaccinated on February the 4th, and there's another one being planned as we speak. So we continue to promote that as well. That's all I have about COVID. So I'm going to jump right in unless there's any questions related to COVID transmission in Poquoson. It's very good news where we are right now. If not, I'm going to go ahead to Dr. Hill is at a cohort meeting. She's in a training cohort, has been for several months, and this will finish her up this year in this group. And so she's out of town at that training. So I'm going to give this quick instructional update. We have vacancy announcements for a mathematics instructional coach that she mentioned to you in her presentation last month. We've started to collect some interest in that. And of course, this is all grant funded, and we're excited about being able to land on a person that will be able to help us do lesson planning, model instruction, and help identify additional resources as we focus in on our mathematics instruction, and also target students with unfinished learning. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. We have another grant funded position for tutors, all coming from federal government money that allows us to again target students with specific learning loss, that we can use these tutors during our instructional day to pull out at certain times and help catch them up, and of course in steep preparation for the SOLs. We also are going to be advertising for a student behavior interventionist that we will be able to also pay for with this grant money. 20% of the federal funding for COVID relief has to be used for unfinished learning. And we want to use this in a very targeted way. We're going to, of course, grow our summer academy this summer. It was a big success. We want to continue to encourage large numbers of students to consider our summer academy, and we will fund that through this funding, but also these tutors and behavior interventionists and math tutors. We are also in the throes, and you'll hear more about this over the next several months as we present, of having to be very competitive in the world of hiring. This is an interesting market. There's a movement out of our business on the national, state, and local level. Folks, whether it's the pandemic or what have you, are choosing to reconsider their decision to be a public school educator. So we're in a very challenging time as we recruit and retain and train the very best to work with our children. So we have, we're creating a team that are going to go out to not only fairs, we suspended that some years ago in Poquoson. We're going to get back in that game. We're also going to increase our presence out in the digital world as we recruit. And lastly, we're going to be very aggressive in our relationship with the universities, especially local universities, to start to recruit students as they enter their senior year in especially the hard-to-fill areas of math and science and SPED. So we've got a team we're assembling. We're working on the details of the planning so that we get out there ahead of the game, recruiting people. We're going to promote the real reasons why you want to teach in Burke and learn and raise your family in Poquoson. And there's a lot of advantages here that don't just reflect on the salary. It's just something we'll be talking about later in the budget workshop. But that's all I have. Questions?
Got a quick question. With the math coach and the behavior specialist, what grade levels will they be focused on primarily?
They're going to be K-12, which is a challenge because we've got to start with one as we can afford it. I would love to have a math and a literacy coach in the different grade spans. Love to start one with K-5 and then have a middle and a high school person separately. But we're going to start with one that will work with all levels. Just getting started. But very good question. I would love to have one in all grade spans moving forward. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett. All right, next up is the financial update with Mrs. Woodruff.
Good evening, Chair Helsel and members of the school board. For the finance report, I just have a very brief update about the budget process. We've been engrossed in that process for the last month and a half or so. Mr. Tillett will be presenting the proposed budget in the work session immediately following this meeting. This budget has been prepared based on the governor's budget. Since FY23 is the first year of the new biennium, the General Assembly is still going and they're in their long session, which is expected to end around March 12th. So as we will monitor that process and see what comes out of that, and any changes we would bring back to you then. The budget will be available for review tomorrow on the PCPS website, as well as a copy in the Poquoson Public Library. And additionally, there will be a public hearing on the budget at the regular school board meeting on Tuesday, March 15th at 6 o'clock. And that concludes my report.
Up is an operations update with Dr. Ratliff.
Good evening, Mr. Tillett, Madam Chair, Helsel, and board members. Tonight I'm going to review the FPAR that just took place with food services, and we'll also have a construction update for the middle school. So our food services program just underwent the FPAR, which is the Federal Program Administrator Review. These reviews take place every 5 years and come in and basically audit all of your food service happenings from your books all the way down to the serving and the paperwork and such that's completed. We fared very well in the review. Tonight we'll go over the things that we have to improve upon, but all in all, the review went very well, and that really is a credit to all of our food service workers and what they do daily, and in particular Keely Sullivan and Tina Wolf. Really, without Keely and Tina doing everything that they've done, we probably would not have done as well as we did. So the corrective actions that we have to look at are as follows. When they come in and do the FPAR reviews, they tell you which schools they're going to go to, or schools. In this case, in particular for us, it was the high school, which we knew ahead of time that was the school that they were going to be looking at, but we don't have the ability to pick and choose which schools they go in and they audit. The corrective actions and breakfast counts, how we had been counting breakfasts were based on the prepared lunch or meals that were made. So we may have made 100 meals, and when they went out and when they came back, there were 10 left. So therefore, we knew 90 students had taken them. Unfortunately, that is not permissible, and we actually have to change to tally as the students are taking the meals. So really a very minor thing and easy to fix. The meal components and quantities. We have to make sure that all of the meal components and quantities are available in each serving line. When they were auditing the lunch period at the high school during this serving, we have two lines that go through, and there was not a bean and or a starch in each of the lines. And there's lots of other components that goes with it, but those in particular. So they just have to make sure and have the offerings available in both lines as the kids are going through. The food safety plans, while we do have these written as they need to be, they were not able to be easily accessed when they were doing the audit with the staff in the kitchen. That was corrected basically on the spot, and they are very accessible now. The local wellness policy, we really had to make a very basic change to this also. It's actually on your agenda for tonight. The policy itself did not have to change. However, we did have to reference two different superintendent's regulations within the policy itself. And that was a superintendent's regulation on student wellness and on fundraising, those components that tie into your wellness policy. Safe Serve certification. I have to get a Safe Serve certification because I am considered your food services director. We didn't anticipate that was going to happen, but that apparently is standard across the board. Although I typically do not serve in the lines. I don't know that I ever have.
You never know.
Might be needed.
There simply wasn't a way around that your director has to have that certification. Civil rights training. So at present, we do not have enough staff in the cafeteria for cafeteria workers to work registers, prepare and serve food, and everything else. So what we had been doing at the high school is we were paying teachers to work during lunch in order to work the registers. There is a civil rights for cafeteria workers training that all of your cafeteria workers have to complete. That is not a module that our teaching staff has to complete in their required in-services. So these two staff members in particular will have them, actually they've already completed the modules to get that certification. And the last thing deals with the resource management. So this is really a good problem to have, but the cash resources that we carry on hand can exceed 3 months of operating expenses. At the time of the audit, we had 3.75 months on hand. So basically what we have to do is submit a plan of how we're going to spend that money down. That money has to be spent on food service items, and really what we're looking at are those capital things that we need within the kitchen, such as really we're concentrating on dishwashers there. Those are some high dollar items that we are in need of. And that did it for the FPAR. So next we'll move on to construction at the middle school. So I don't know if anyone realizes the significance of the picture on the left, but the picture on the left is the ramp and the stairs that connect the top floors at the middle school. So now you no longer have two separate buildings. Everything is now one floor, or one building, I'm sorry. And what is not in yet, but will be going in, is an elevator. So the entire building will be handicapped accessible, where we've had some difficulties with that in the past. The second picture shows the marker boards that are getting ready to be hung in some of the classrooms. At this point, we hope that the utilities are very close to being ready to be connected within the building. The left picture are your water lines, or some of the water lines that are coming in from the outside, and the right shows where the service is coming into the building, the electrical service. We do anticipate that the permanent service will be hooked up to the building within the next month, which is a pretty big step to go through. Again, a couple more pictures of the utilities. You've got probably miles and miles of conduit on the left, and on the right, one of the electrical boxes that is currently being wired. Kind of gives you an idea of the scale of the project and everything that's being done when you look at these services. If you just were to look at these pictures, you really wouldn't even realize where they are in the building, but this is the old part of the building on the first floor. We were very fortunate in that we were able to work out all of the plaster that didn't look real great, being covered with sheetrock throughout the building. That wasn't initially the plan. We were able to get that worked out, and as you can see in the picture on the right, it's a pretty substantial difference in the looks of the halls from what would have been repaired plaster to a very clean, new sheetrock. And consequently, those classes that are along that hallway, they will also be sheetrocked where they were block and plaster before, and the walls were not in great shape. And lastly, you can see that they're working on some of the finishes. They're working around the windows that have been installed on the left, and that is early on within the finishes. And then on the right, they're working on laminating the doorways. So when they were working on the doors in the classrooms, it left where some of the block had to be cut, it left some really rough edges. So what they're doing is they're going in in front of the casings and laminating all of that and tying it into the floor so everything has a new, clean look. So I can answer any questions you may have.
Power in there?
They're actually putting temporary heat in now so they can do some of the work with the painting and the other things on the inside as they move forward. Thank you.
Dr. Ratliff. Ms. McKay, do we have any public comment tonight?
Tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Jordan, can you please walk us through the consent agenda?
Sure. We have the approval of our financial reports. We have the authorization to change appropriation, to accept and expend funds in accordance with the attached request. We have the approval of a personnel action matter and approval of the minutes for January's regular meeting, 2 work sessions, and a special meeting.
All right, I will entertain a motion for,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion about the items? Call for a vote?
Mr. Ingram?
Aye.
Mr. Goodale?
Aye.
Mr. Freeman?
I'm abstaining because I was not at the special meeting.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Mr. Childress?
Aye.
Chair Helsel?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 with 1 abstention.
The next item is other matters for consideration. And Mr. Jordan is going to read our consideration for the approval of a proclamation for National School Breakfast Week.
Sure, and I, while reading over this, learned a little something myself, and I'll see if you guys learn anything about this proclamation this evening. So whereas school districts across the nation will celebrate National School Breakfast Week from March 7th through the 11th of 2022, whereas studies have shown that access to nutritious programs such as the National School Lunch Program, the National School Breakfast Program, helps to create a strong learning environment for children and helps to improve the child's concentration in the classroom. And whereas students who eat a complete breakfast have been shown to make fewer mistakes and work faster in math exercises than those who eat a partial breakfast, and whereas studies show that students who skip breakfast are more likely to have difficulty distinguishing among similar images, showed increased errors and have slower memory recall. And whereas studies have shown that children who participate in school breakfast programs eat more fruits, drink and more milk, and consume less saturated fat than those who do not eat breakfast. And whereas children who fail to eat breakfast, whether at home or at school, are more likely to be overweight than children who eat a healthy breakfast on a daily basis. Now therefore it be proclaimed on this 15th day of February in 2022 by the School Board of Poquoson that the week of March 7th through the 11th of 2022 hereby celebrated as National School Breakfast Program Week in all of Poquoson City Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And Mr. Freeman, can you walk us through the proclamation for Career and Technical Education Month?
Sure. So Career and Technical Educational Month, whereas economic and technological changes in our society are rapidly reflected in the nature of today's workplace, thereby placing new and additional responsibilities on our educational system. And whereas career and technical education provides Poquoson students with a career pathway for post-secondary education and workplace readiness in a global economy. And whereas through career and technical education, students gain experience in practical and meaningful applications of basic skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, thereby improving the quality of their education. And whereas career and technical education offers individuals lifelong opportunities to learn new skills that provide them with more career choices, expanded earning potential, and greater job satisfaction. And whereas the cooperative and ever-increasing efforts between career and technical educators, administrators, and representatives of business and industry stimulate the growth of the Commonwealth's economy by preparing students for careers in high demand, high wage, and highly technical skilled areas. And whereas the theme, Celebrate Today, Own Tomorrow, demonstrates the crucial role that career and technical education plays in readying our students for successful careers. Now therefore, be it proclaimed on this 15th day of February in the year 2022 by the School Board of the City of Poquoson, Virginia, that the month of February 2022 be hereby celebrated as Career and Technical Education Month in all Poquoson City Public Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the proclamations that were?
To approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Okay, would you please call for the vote?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Mr. Goodale.
Aye.
Mr. Freeman.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next item is communication and/or other matters by the school board.
Item for consideration.
Did I miss it?
Yep, it's the wellness policy, just that Dr. Ratliff.
Oh,
spoke
I'm
about.
sorry.
Yeah, we could get that approved tonight with the.
I apologize,
And waive
I'm-
the second reading.
Oh,
That'll
did I miss-
satisfy
sorry.
the audit that we have to add those two.
I apologize, I was going off the original agenda. I missed that one. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. So as you just said, Mr. Tillett, next one will be a consideration of approval of changes to local wellness policy 7-5.11. The reading file was enclosed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, Ms. McKay, would you please call for the vote?
Mr. Ingram.
Aye.
Mr. Goodale.
Aye.
Mr. Freeman.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Childress.
Aye.
Chair Helsel.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping me straight.
Yeah. No,
All right.
it's good
Now
stuff.
you're on.
All right, I just have a couple of quick comments tonight. First, last week was School Counselors Week, so our schools all celebrated our counselors, and they do such an incredible job, but especially now where there is a lot of social emotional learning needs as our kids have been through this pandemic with a lot of struggle. And the counselors have really kind of led that charge in our school. And that coupled with the fact that this week is Kindness Week, and the kids are doing incredible things in the school to celebrate kindness. And I just think that's a real testament to a healthy school system. And I want to thank the administrators, the principals who are here tonight for leading that charge. And it's been fun to watch. And great work.
Thank you, Mr. Tillett.
So starting with the Poquoson Primary School. At Poquoson Primary School, February and March are going to be very busy. We began the month of February celebrating World Read Aloud Day. Our first grade classes had visitors come from Ms. Baker's PHS Creative Writing class. In each of our classrooms, we shared reading of books every week with related activities and instructions to focus on story elements, comprehension, vocabulary, and grammar. February also brings some special celebration days that have Tomorrow is the 100th day of school, and we are looking forward to activities in all subject areas that have to do with the number 100. Next week, when it is 2/22/22, we'll do the same but the number of the days too. We will dress up in ties, tiaras, tennis shoes, tutus, and as twins, working with twos, doubles, pairs, matching two-syllable words, and many other activities. Thursday is Random Act of Kindness Day, and PPS teachers will be discussing ways for us to show kindness in our homes, in our school, our communities during morning meetings. Our in-person book fair will be February 28th to March 4th. We're excited to see and read all the books. At the end of January, our teachers and staff participated in divisional-wide professional development. Several of our teachers presented to their peers on topics such as small group literacy instruction, classroom management, technology tools to enhance classroom instruction, and modifying instruction for students with disabilities. We thank the school board for allowing us to have this time to share our knowledge with each other. Another huge thank you goes out to the Poquoson Education Foundation. PES recently had 6 teachers awarded grants for classroom youth. We are very appreciative of PEF support. Now on to the elementary school. PES is loving all of the fun learning going on in classrooms at PES. We've celebrated Valentine's Day with many smiles and cards. This Thursday is Kindness Day, and PES will wear blue for World. Tomorrow is our 100th day of school, and students will be doing activities having to do with the number 100. On Thursday, we are handing out A and AB Honor Roll certificates to students who earned them during the second quarter. Teachers have also selected one student from each class to be honored with the Bulls Don't Bully certificate of recognition, which recognizes a student for their kindness towards others. Next week, on Tuesday, 2/22/22, PES will join PPS in celebrating a day of twos by wearing tutus, tennis shoes, and ties. There will be lots of fun math activities focusing on the number 2, including a 2-minute, 20-second dance-off at the end of the day. On Friday, February 18th, the students participating in Battle of the Books will compete for the top 6 places on the team, and wish all of them the best of luck. The week of February 22nd to the 25th, 5th graders will be registering for 6th grade classes, and parents of 5th graders will be hearing more about this soon. Poquoson Middle School is celebrating National Kindness Week during this week from February 14th to 18th. PMS is currently celebrating National Kindness Week with Spirit Day themes, dress-up attire, and kindness challenges. National Kindness Week encourages us to put kindness first and share it everywhere we go. PMS kicked off the week with giving students the opportunity to sign a kindness pledge at lunch, and we will conclude the week by signifying we're all on the same team. Kindness grows at PMS. We are also currently busy planning for next year. PMS school counselors are hosting parent information nights this month and visiting classrooms to receive this information from the student perspective. Please visit our website for more information. PMS would also like to congratulate our January Golden Bowl students of the month: Jackson Masella from 6th grade, Luke Harrell from 7th grade, and Reed Booth from 8th grade. Poquoson High School had another successful month full of learning and student achievement to start our second semester. Our students have participated in forensic science labs boasting watermelons to study impact and motion. Our driver's ed students have focused on seatbelt safety. Our psychology students conducted experiments with the commons related to memory. Pottery students have started using the pottery wheels to form clay. Yearbook staff have been working at all hours getting pictures and stories, and our band and chorus classes have been working hard preparing for their performances to highlight just a few of the many activities going on. Class selection has started within our counseling department for the upcoming 2020. School counselors are sending out invites for meetings for this process weekly. Our newly created student club, Side by Side, held its first meeting this week and will promote acceptance, diversity, and kindness. This week, PHS is celebrating Kindness Week with Spirit Days and encouraging students to make the habit of finding ways to support each other and show kindness on a daily basis. Our band and chorus students held amazing concerts at Grafton Heights. Both groups performed at all district events with success. Our wrestling team and our Scholastic Bowl team both won the regional championship and will be competing for a state title. Our swim team also had success in the regional championships with the third place finish in boys and girls categories. They too will be competing within the state tournament. Congratulations to all of our student athletes and good luck moving into the season. PHS wants to say thank you to all of our counselors, Dr. Cunningham, Ms. Neenan, and Ms. Banton, and our SRO, Officer Biggs, and each school board member for all the work each of you do. As always, thank you. As always, look for the Islands Time weekly newsletter to keep all things Poquoson High School.
Thank you.
I'd like to first congratulate Isabel for being high school senior of the month. Congratulations. And want to thank Ms. Sheeler for her dedicated many years on the board. She brought a unique perspective to the board, and she continues to serve the community in various capacities from CERT to elections volunteer. So just want to thank her for, her dedication to the community. And Dusty, welcome, and thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for keeping us updated on agendas, published, changes, things like that. Thank you very much.
Goodale?
Just want to echo those sentiments. Wanted to recognize Ms. Sheeler for her service and her time on the board, and recognize Dusty doing the Clerk Week, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman?
I'd like to congratulate Isabella again on Student of the Month. I'd like to congratulate our Scholastic Bowl team, wrestling team, and swim team on their outstanding displays of talent here recently in Bucking States. I was on the bowl team back when I was in high school. Glad to see they're still doing well. I'd like to thank Ms. Sheeler for all of her hard work and dedication. She served well, and Mr. Ingram said she had a different perspective that we always didn't see, so that's greatly appreciated, and we're going to miss that she's gone with that from the board. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Jordan on being vice chair and Ms. Hustle on becoming chair, and I look forward to working with you.
I want to congratulate Isabel. It's good to see a former SCA class president. I was the class president back in 2002 myself. So you never know what path that will end up taking. You literally not know I'd be on the school board 20 years later. So congrats. And I used to love the parking spot more so than anything for that month, right? Hopefully you still take advantage of that. As many folks know, I have an opportunity, and I've coached at Grafton High School for 13 years as the varsity boys basketball coach. And, we came to Poquoson last night, and I just wanted to commend the atmosphere and the students. It was just a great environment, and watching the kids, get to compete in athletics. Athletics, like, so many things, whether it be band competitions, and, it's so healthy for our student body, and to see, our kids and our students play in those capacities is very rewarding, whether it be band or chorus or basketball or football or wrestling or whomever. So, and a lot of the Poquoson winter programs are having a tremendous amount of success. So, good luck with those teams getting ready to take on the regional and state tournaments as well. Thanks.
Probably echo what everybody else just said. I'd like to thank Ms. Sheila for her dedication and helping me when I got onto the board. Thank Isabel for getting Student of the Month. Good job. And then I'd like to thank the food service. I know it's hard to get through those surveys, and to get through that survey the way they got through, that's a great job, and that shows their dedication to the food service. It's giving all of our kids their nutrition that they need, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Childers. I also want to thank Ms. Sheeler. It was great to serve with her on the board. I know she'll be missed. Just like Mr. Ingram said, she did offer a very different perspective. Always loved hearing what she had to say. Ms. Altman, I'm excited for you for retiring soon. I'm on my countdown, my years, I've got a long way to go. But it's been great having you at the middle school, and you'll certainly be missed. Also to my fellow board members, I think you said it perfectly, Mr. Tillett. We are definitely here because we're committed to children. It's been a tough few years, but I think we're all here for the right reasons. That's all I have to add for my comments. Any other material for board review?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so without further ado then, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and the board is going to move into our work session.